What's up, BrarHive? It's your boy, Brar, the guy who just trying to make people laugh. And yeah, today we have a comedian who I actually know and who I genuinely respect. Uh, Dude, introduce yourself.
Pleasure to be here, man. I don't know how to introduce myself without like be talking about yourself in third person. Oh, this is Todd Ness, the stand-up comedian. At your service.
Honestly, how would you? Actually, I've never introduced myself in third person, except when like I'm emailing like people to come on the show. Like Brar is a. I just pump myself up so much. I'm like, he is a visionary, a once in a lifetime like generational talent. Then
Dude,
in real life I'm just like, hi guys.
no, yeah, you know what? One of the most uncomfortable things about a comedy career is when you have to write your bio and you have to write first of all about yourself in third person, like you just said, and then you have to yeah, almost brag a little bit, which is not natural. I think especially for Canadians, it's not a natural
Oh
thing that
yeah.
we do. So there's nothing more bizarre than writing some like bio where you're like esteemed comedian myself. You're like this is so ew, it just feels icky. But you're like you have to do it.
Yeah. Like the only time I really do that is like so because I'm constantly emailing people to come on the podcast, celebrities, all that kind of stuff. And literally in that email is like because I basically copy and paste most of my emails, but it's like so first I hype up the podcast. I'm like, oh, we get this many views. We're on all these platforms, demographic, all that stuff. But then I have to talk about the host. I'm like, I literally it's like word for word. The host Mata Brar is a comedian. He is a filmmaker, and he is a martial arts champion. And then I'm just pumping myself even more, and I'm like, I hate this so much.
Dude, it's weird but it should be weird. Like if you were super comfortable doing that, like talking about yourself in third person, then it's something's weird, right? But
That's just narcissism at that point.
yeah, it's an unnatural thing. And here's another place where you have to do it too. I don't know if you have your US visa, but if you ever go through that process, the whole thing is you have to write about yourself like that and say like all these accomplishments. So it's that magnified to an incredible level where like I wrote my initial letter type thing, and I remember my lawyer was like, "Do you want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, you gotta pump it up. You gotta write your portfolio for your visa as if you're like the biggest comic in the world. So then it's just a weird thing, right? So
And just embellish a little bit, make yourself seem even bigger than you really are.
you have to, yeah, you can't. There's no middle. Like they're not going to approve. It's like for anything, right? They're not going to be like if you said, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty good," they're be like, "Okay, cool," right? Like when it's a business that's not you, it's odd. Like if you were a real estate agent, you wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, we're pretty good at real estate," right? You're gonna say we are the best real estate team. And comedy is the same thing, but it is just but because it's you, it's a very awkward thing.
Yeah, like you're selling yourself, like you
Yes,
are the product.
exactly, and that's what makes it weird because you're not. Yeah, you are the product and the service, and then you're the one talking about it, and it's just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, it's like one time I, oh yeah, it's like I like volunteer teaching martial arts at my old high school and stuff, like
Yeah,
like at least once or twice a semester. And the teacher the Lisa, he knows me personally, and like we're pretty tight. And so he's introducing me to like these kids that have never met me before, and he's pumping me up. He's like, "Oh, he's a world champion martial artist. He's a comedian. He's a filmmaker. He has a great podcast." And I'm like, "Dude, stop! I don't. Please stop. This is embarrassing."
it's unrecoverable. It's like the comedy equivalent of that is I think it was Bill Burr has a story about opening for Seinfeld,
Oh
and he
yeah,
brought him on by saying this is like the best comedian in the world, Jerry Seinfeld, and director is like never introduced him because now you set the bar so high, and you also kind of tick off the audience because they go, oh, this guy's pretty high on himself.
Yeah,
Best
because
in the world.
they'll think that you approved that message about yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, you almost want to come in. I think it's more fun to come in under the radar and then catch people off guard. That's way more fun to come on. There's no expectations, and then you surprise them with being really good. That's way more fun than yeah. Because I've had people do intros too, where if they hype it up too much, then you're like, oh god, now I gotta go. You're just yeah, you're setting the expectations too high.
Oh yeah, that's why even on dates, I set the bar super low,
Set it low, man.
like to a point where it's like not even recoverable. Like she asked what kind of car I drive. I'm like, bro, I was just an Uber around. Then I pull up an actual car. Boom, already expectations are blown out of proportion.
Genius. Genius. Look at that. You just set yourself up to have just a vehicle. Boom. You're exceeding expectations. Brilliant. It's a
Damn.
brilliant move.
And even with comedy too, like couple times for a couple of shows, when I'm like waiting with the other comedians until I guess my time, the whole time, when I'm talking to you know how like even just with normal chatter, you crack jokes and stuff because it's like natural for us.
Yeah.
But the whole time, I make zero jokes. That way, everyone's like, "Yo, is this guy even funny?" And then when I go on stage, like, "Oh, he is funny." And then,
Look at that. Man, you got the formula figured out. And then you tell everyone, I don't have a car, and then you do, and boom. They're like, this guy's funny and he's got a vehicle?
and that's how I win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny, man. I think of like, now the opposite can be true too. So one of my biggest pet peeves when I first started doing stand up was, and I'm not picky about the intro at all.
Oh, sorry
Unbelievable.
about that.
Unbelievable. We're gonna have a professional. Just kidding. I'm not picky at all about the intro as far as like credits or anything like that. But I remember, and I think some people, this is a classic MC mistake, when there is a new comedian and they introduce them to the audience as new, as saying like things like up and coming, or even what was another like rising star.
Rising
Problem,
star,
yeah.
the next big thing,
Well, the
all that
problem
type of
is
shit.
the audience. It seems positive because up and
Yeah.
coming sounds positive, but what the audience hears is, oh, this is an amateur. Oh, this is a non-prof, right? So then instead of the expectations being low, they actually they don't trust you, and it can hurt you too. So there's kind of that, yeah, you have to go right in the middle with just bringing someone on stage in a way that helps them a little bit. But yeah, either way, if you hype it up too much or you use that terminology like amateur type stuff, you can tell right away off the bat you have so much more work to do to get the audience on board.
Yeah, like my first show, which honestly the first year anniversary of my first show was like 2 weeks ago too, which is pretty cool. But the dude that announced me, I think he did it in a pretty good way. He said, "This is his first time doing stand comedy. But I talked to this guy a little bit. He's pretty funny. Let's give a hand for Todd Brar." And then, which set the expectations low, but it was all right. In my opinion, it helped me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's an art to it, right? There's an
Yeah,
art. So, and it makes your first impression is so important on stage, and
yeah,
you kind of, I guess to me, it's like you want to be able to be the person who makes the first impression as the comic. You don't want that intro to be the first impression if it's not
yeah,
beneficial.
yeah. That's true. Like I remember I went to one of the shows that you're emceeing. The way you introduced everyone was solid tier shit, man. Because like you didn't overhype the guy, but you also didn't like undersell them as well. You were like just right there, you know?
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like, I caught myself one time. It was kind of like the competition where we had like 10 comics on it or whatever,
Yeah.
and I would bring them up, and by like I realized that I called everyone, like I would bring everyone up and go, "Welcome, my good friend so and so," right? Then the next comic, I'd be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, keep that applause going for my good friend." And I got off stage like after the sixth comic, and I didn't even notice I was doing it. And one of the comics was like, "Well, you have a lot of good friends, don't you?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, you're right. I've said that for every single person."
You
Super
announced
weird.
me as that as well. You announced me as a good friend.
Yeah, and see, it's still there. I still have the hat. Isn't that crazy? I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, but I think at that point, everyone has like their own way to like introduce people. Like your way is like my good friend, like how I do it for the podcast. I'm like I just have them introduce themselves because I'm like honestly I don't want to say shit. You know, I
Yeah,
think
no, that's fair enough. Yeah.
it's different for each person. So first thing for our viewers, so today's February 1st, and for Todd that means it's sober February. So how's that going for you?
It's really it's I'm hungover from yesterday because yesterday was my last day, knowing that I was going to have a month of no drinks, and so let's just say I might have had an extra one. Going, I better enjoy this. And today I woke up and I was like, I could not be more excited to have a month of not having a drink again. Which,
His
by the
head's been
way,
hurting.
it sounds when you say that too, it sounds like it's almost like I'm going dry because I had an issue, which is hilarious. I really just I wanted to try it out anyway. And then the Canadian Cancer Society has a thing called Dry Feb where you can raise money, and that's what I'm doing. And I realized by having a cause and a way that I'm accountable and forced to do it, that's the way to set yourself up for success. So yeah, man, I'm looking after how my head felt this morning. I'm very much looking forward to it.
That's good. That's good. So describe this hangover. Head pounding, just body's like in pure pain.
Yeah, and I did, yeah, head. I got the stomach, everything. And it was one of those two where I'm like, I feel like my brain wasn't working. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on right now. So I'm glad that's in the past. That's January.
January. That's
January.
so
Yeah,
like what time is it right now? Oh, that's so 17 hours ago.
I'm over it.
Yeah,
We're in a new month now.
damn right.
And it is kind of funny also that I chose the shortest month, but whatever, dude. Whatever. Pure
No, but
coincidence.
I noticed this yesterday. February is also the most perfect month in 2021 because it starts on Sunday and it ends on a Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. Let me look at my.
Yeah, check it. It's a straight line. There's no like
Now
interruption from any of the months.
you mean that it begins on a Monday?
Is it today Monday? Oh,
Yeah,
it is
man.
Monday. Yeah, same
You're
thing.
from the future.
I have.
Yeah, you're right. I actually like because I kind of like to plan my months too, and I noticed that it's nice to have the first start on a Monday because you're
Yeah.
like that's kind of where you start planning the week as well as the month. Boom, look at that. And you know what they said? They said this pandemic, all that type of stuff. There's no good news. There is good news because we got a good February this
Yes.
year. Wow.
February's already looking up for us.
Yeah. Not a leap year. Last year I think we had 29 days. That's big.
Did we?
I think so, man.
Oh, whoa. Honestly, last year was so hectic. I It all feels like a blur at this point.
Well, what's really crazy is to think back. We're getting about the time 1 year ago where obviously the pandemic started happening and everything. And this has
Yep.
been talked to death, so I don't think we don't have to stay on it. But it is interesting
Yeah.
to think now that has been a year. And I think it's funny to think back to when it first started, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, a couple weeks, shut it down. Couple weeks, we'll be back to normal." It's like imagine if we sent this video back to us last year and we're like, dude, we're still in this. Like, you're gonna be like this for a year. We'd be like, what are you talking about?
All right, let's do this. Let's make a quick video message for us from 1 year ago today, and just warn them a little bit.
Yeah, sure. You
All
want me to
right,
go?
I'll go first. I'll
You
go
go
first.
first.
Yeah. Hey, dumbass, you're already failing school, but don't worry. School soon, everything's gonna be online, and then you can just cheat your whole way to just barely passing school, you know? And you're gonna think just a few weeks, maybe a month or two. Nah, right now we are 10 months into a pandemic. But don't worry, your anxiety is gonna get worse every day. Have a good day. Have a good year, Matab.
Perfect. And I like how you kept it positive and also very doom and gloom at the same time. It was A scary message wrapped in some niceness, just enough to cause a panic for
Causing
your past.
panic, but not enough to make me, oh shit, I'm gonna die, but it's enough to be like, oh, also, Matab, you are gonna catch COVID, and it's gonna hurt like hell. So just drink a lot of water and don't die.
Did you get COVID?
Yes, sir. In November,
Damn.
I caught COVID, and as the day I got it, I made a music video of catching COVID.
Oh, I guess it worked out then. Worth it.
Yeah, I made a music video with like, because I was okay. I was like pain free for like 2 days. I just couldn't smell and taste for like, I couldn't taste and smell for like a month afterwards. But the pain didn't come in until like 2 days after I actually like got diagnosed with COVID, and that hit me like a truck.
Whoa. That's your man. That's knock on wood. I don't know. I don't think I know anyone directly who had it, except for there is Dale got it as well. A couple other comics.
Oh, yeah.
But that's crazy. Wow.
But honestly, COVID was fun though because it gave me so much jokes. It gave me so much joke material.
Yeah.
So now I'm ready for my first day back on stage, and I'm like, all right, guys, the first thing you gotta know about COVID that I don't tell you about is that it hurts your balls. Like,
Does it really? Goes into your nuts.
oh wait, everyone told me it was just upper body. I felt that pain in my balls. There's so much pressure there that I felt the
Right.
next time I'm with a girl, I'm just gonna throw out diamonds.
Interesting. Oh yeah, you thought you might have real rocks going on in there.
Yeah, it
They
was
don't
weird.
mention that. They don't mention deal. They mention definitely the taste. They mention the smell.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the nuts. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. I didn't expect it because I asked my cousin who's a doctor. He's like, "Yo, I've never heard of anyone getting pain in their balls."
Dude, maybe you're patient. Maybe you have some variant that we're all looking out for that goes straight for nuts.
So you're basically saying that I'm built different.
Sure, man. However you want to look at it, that's very positive.
Thank you. And now it's time for your message to a year from now, Todd.
Sure. Hi, 2020 Todd. This is 2021 Todd. I want you to know we have the exact same wardrobe as you did, so don't even worry about that. Couple things you need to know. All of those shows that you have, they're canceled. Gone. Don't even try to hold on. The good news is, even though you're going to take a giant financial hit by no longer having any work, you are going to make it all back by buying GameStop stuff. And that's all I can say. I can't tell you why. I can't get more specific, but that's all you need to do is buy GameStop. Go get your toilet paper right now because you will not be able to get any of that in March, and you're going to cruise right on through. And by the way, there's no end in sight. Have a good night. Dude, could you imagine that? Like, actually, yeah, that's another thing. If you told yourself back a year ago, you're like, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be riots, and then they're going to jack up Wall Street. It's just like, dude.
Yo, I was thinking my dumb goblin brain was thinking like a year ago, hey, I think GameStop might just go bankrupt because like no one's going in stores anymore and buying games. And now they're a Fortune 500 company, Todd. Fortune 500, they're worth over $1 billion now.
Yeah, it all makes sense. I mean, they're making tons of money. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Yeah, just another. But I'm at the point now where like, yeah, you see these one-off things happening like this, and I'm so numb to like, it just seems like anything can happen. So it's still surprising, but it's never any more like, oh wow, I can't believe that would happen. It's just like added to the list. Added to the list of things that we never thought would happen that are all definitely happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like when I read that GameStop, like my friend texted me and said, "Yo, you're in stock. You do stocks and stuff, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have like a few just throwaway stocks and stuff." He's like, "Invest in GameStop right the fuck now." And I'm like, "Why?" I go online, I see this. I spend 3 hours just looking at all these.
Yeah, isn't it? It's crazy. Now, I was very tempted, and I
Yeah.
stayed out just because I'm like, I feel like my luck, as soon as I buy it, that's when it's going to tank. So I'm like,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
what
you.
I feel. It's like, yeah, it could, it's like case in point. Remember when Bitcoin had that huge surge and it was up to like something crazy, $80,000 per coin or whatever?
Yeah.
It was so not 80, definitely. I didn't have 80 sitting around for a Bitcoin,
No,
but
it
no,
was like
it was like so tempting when it was like a couple thousand. It was
yeah.
so tempting to buy in because it looked like it was going to go to the moon. And then you look back and
To
you're
the
like, oh my, you
moon.
lost so much. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Bitcoin right now is like it's like at 36,000, I think, right now. I put in $115 on it, and I'm just riding that wave.
Damn.
I know. I'm going for like 0.0002% of Bitcoin.
I like it, man. That's what you got to do.
I've honestly
Buy
put in
more.
more. I put more money into Dogecoin right now.
Yeah, I've heard about that one too, man. I'm like, all this stuff, it's funny that the internet can even have that much of an impact. And what I like is that it means these hedge fund the companies and the financial institutions are going to have to start hiring like meme analysts, which is the most millennial job of all time. But they're going to have these analysts that go on Reddit and pick up what's going on, right? That's hilarious.
Yeah, like I saw something online saying like hey guys, so because now Reddit's like kind of getting like now everything's slowing down because like of what Robinhood's doing all that type of shit. Apparently now like they're looking for like, all right guys, what other stocks are the hedge funds going for right now? Because we gotta go and ruin that now. And so so basically Reddit is like actually full on going against everything these hedge funds are investing in, which is just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean I think that's well what's going to happen now is GameStop actually worked, right? So it's going to be people are going to make a ton on that, and now there's going to be hearsay all over the dude. I was seeing this morning. I saw they're going after silver, they're going after like pork bellies, dude. I don't know. So that's going to be the tough part to decipher how much of that is what's real, which one is going to be the next one versus like people just keeping the story alive and just speculating. Who knows? But it's just fun to watch, and it's like I think the memes and stuff that have come out about it, just like it's sad. This is impacting people with multiple boats, so let's hurt them. So it's
Yeah,
kind of the people getting vengeance, right? Eat the rich. That's what they say.
the rich. Yeah, so now basically Reddit is doing what Robinhood's name applies,
Yeah,
because Robinhood, like the whole thing was like the stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, and now that's literally what's happening.
it's so funny. It's just like the irony is overwhelming. And if you saw this stuff, if they had a movie called 2020 to 2021, and this everything that's included, and they included this part at the end as well, or the middle, we don't even know where we're at. You'd just be like, would never happen. The writers have gone crazy. That's where it's like real life is crazier. I feel like right now than any movie they could come up with, right?
I can. I'm just waiting for the day I have a kid and he's like, Dad, can you tell me about 2020? I have an essay about it. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, dude, I dream about that all the time. And I know I'm gonna make it sound way harder than it actually was. Like I'm gonna say there was fires. I'm gonna say like people were fighting in the street. I'm gonna say I had to defend my house with an axe. We had to eat squirrels when the stores closed, like that type of stuff. And then he won't know that really a lot of it was sitting around ordering skip the dishes. That's basically what the pandemic was, is sitting inside ordering tuk tuk Thai. But he doesn't need to know that. He needs to know the hero stories.
Damn right. And that's how that'll be his college essay. So my dad survived like a pandemic, and it's gonna be people like who also went through 2020 that be reading those essays. I'm like, well, this guy's bullshitting.
You know what? And that's a good point, is that all those kids are going to have the same book report called My Family Survived a Pandemic. They're like, yeah, dude, everyone did.
Most people survived this pandemic, so you're not that special
Yeah,
anymore,
I mean, I
kid.
guess not. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Not everyone, but it is the one thing that's kind of neat too is like we all have this shared experience globally.
Yeah.
It's a good icebreaker, dude. Think about in the future. how easy it is going to be to have conversations with strangers. Because all you have to do is like bring up COVID, and someone will be like, "Oh, dude, where are you?" To go, "Where was I?" It's the one thing there won't be anyone that you can approach.
Yeah.
That's going to go that doesn't have a story. That's an icebreaker right there. That's good for dating too. Easy peasy.
Yeah, like, hey, I didn't catch COVID, but I caught feels for you.
Oh, look at that.
I'm already making moves. I already have this stuff planned out in my head.
You're plotting, dude. I'm impressed.
Thank you. That's my goal as a man who has been single for a long time.
Aw, part of that seemed happy and sad, just like your message Back to the Future or Back to the Past.
That's my entire character. I am happy and sad at the same time.
Wow. I don't know to cry or. You know what? I'm gonna send you a little skip the dishes. You need some chicken wings or something.
I graciously accept. Before the pandemic started and shut everything down.
Yeah.
And my first show was at Broken City, which is honestly, I love that place. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And it was a weirdly insanely packed night. Also because like I had like 10 or 20 of my buddies there as well.
Right.
But it was like I think it was like it was a packed place, and like the laughter I got was like that energized me. And
Yeah.
then the second show I did was, I'm not gonna say the name, but it was some dingy like place, a little bit out of downtown, and I'm performing there, and there was like 10 people, and right there the difference was like insane. And then in COVID, like then I did like one or two shows during COVID, here and there,
Yeah.
but But the most memorable one was like when I did it at Yuck Yucks, and there it was just like it was good, but like even with COVID, like it doesn't feel the same because everyone's like they're super far apart and the laughs like scattered and everything like that, you know.
Yeah, it's not the I'm trying to not use the word contagious in these times, but that's what makes the show amazing, a live show, is because it's laughter's contagious. So naturally, the more people you have and the closer they are together, it just is, yeah, it creates this feeling and rolling laughter that, God, I hope we can get back to that. I mean, we have the vaccine, so we should be able to, right? But
Yeah.
that's the cool one where at least we see, we can see the solution. We can see there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what I'm looking forward to. It's just like it's fun to even do the club shows at a reduced capacity, but I cannot wait. Like I can't wait for the day I walk into Yuck Yucks here in Calgary, and it's like I see all the rows set up, and you see people lining up to get in and packing the thing, and just that's that's energy that I don't even think I realize how much I miss it because it's been so long. But yeah, as long as aliens don't come down before that, we should be good. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Why not? Aliens, what's like comedy? What's like to laugh, you know?
Yeah, I
Why
wonder
not?
if they would be. I mean, they gotta need content, right?
Yeah, like just give them some little translators, boom, like English to that's my alien language, and
German.
just go crazy, have them laugh a little bit, and make sure they don't kill us.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? As long as they don't eat us or just blow up the planet, then there's a chance. Maybe they do like entertainment. Maybe they like comedy too. Maybe they love it. Potato Skins, Comedy Club. We don't know, but
Yeah. All right. Actually, speaking on that, so let's say aliens do love comedy, and they're like, give us 5 comedians, who will make us laugh our asses off, or we will literally destroy this planet.
right, yeah.
What's your top 5? Like,
This is a good
okay,
exercise.
and
Um,
and I'll help you out here. And they have technology to bring back people who are dead.
let's do. Bill Burr's up there.
Yeah,
Of course, you got to put Burr, Dave Chappelle.
obviously.
Damn, who else would I? Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Um, I would say if they want clean, Brian Regan is also one of the best.
Yeah.
And then you could bring back someone who's dead. Yeah, I don't know. I would go with those four. And then I'm blanking. I don't know who else I would put. It's weird because I want to say it's an unlikely pick. Oh no, Segura. That's who it is. So I would do
Tom?
Chappelle. Yep, I would do Tom Segura. I would do, and that's a good little mix because everyone's a bit different there. Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Tom Segura. Um, who's the other one that I said?
Uh,
Brian Regan, Jim Gaffigan. Those five.
yeah.
I mean, that would be, and preferably all in the same show. And if you know what, if the aliens, if they don't like the show and they kill us, I go, there's nothing else we could have done,
Yeah.
right? What
I
about you?
like
What's your list?
let's see. So I give him some Dave Chappelle first, cause like the goat.
Yeah.
Then I'll hit him with a little bit John Mulaney,
Okay.
who right now, I don't know, he's my favorite comedian. Like I just love his comedy. So John Mulaney, Dave Chappelle. I'll throw in a little bit Eddie Murphy there,
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
cause Eddie's got that little bit of crackhead energy. I'll throw in maybe some George Carlin,
Oh, okay.
and then at the very end, I don't know. I'm split between either having Russell Peters or what's his name? I was watching stuff like the other day, Louis C.K. But like before he did his fucked up shit.
Yeah, that is a solid lineup, man. That's a solid lineup. That's another part of comedy that I'm missing too, is being able to go see guys like that, right? Like
Yeah.
being able to. I remember the first comedy show I ever went to live was Jim Gaffigan, and dude, I just remember like I don't even remember what he did for the first 10 minutes, but he was killing so hard, and he had us laughing so hard that he actually had to take a break, like give us a breather, so the audience could catch their breath. Because literally, he was like, "You guys need a second?" We're like, "Yeah," because people were shaking in their seats. So, dude, it's just one of those where I'm like, that's also such a cool experience, right? So
So Gaffigan was that was like that's he broke your comedy virginity basically.
you could absolutely. And
I
I
think
think part of that too is like I wasn't as, as you see comedy more and more and you do it more and more, you become a little bit desensitized. So that was
yeah.
part of it. Like, it's easier to catch someone off guard when you haven't seen as much. But yeah, man, I just remember that show. I'm like, it's crying laughing at it. So
I think my first show was Russell Peters. Yeah, it was Russell Peters, and he came in like 2012 or 2011. So I was like 12 or 13, and ever since then, me and my dad have gone to every single show he's done in Calgary since.
wow, that's good.
And each time, it is both the funniest and most uncomfortable time of my life.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, especially like the times that he's like so every other like the race jokes we're okay with, all that kind of stuff we're okay. But it's like when he talks about like teenagers, if he's pointing some teenagers in the audience, uh I remember I was 16 and he pointed to some guy who's my age. He's like, "Hey, how old are you?" He's like 16. "Oh, dude, how hard is it to not be jerking off 24/7?" Something like that. And he's like, and then he's goes to everyone. "If you guys are parents, if you have teenagers, look at them in the eyes right now. They'll be uncomfortable." My
Oh,
dad
that's
stares at me.
hilarious.
I'm like, "Fuck, stop looking at me, man." The
Yeah,
whole
he's one of the
time.
masters of uh, crowd work. Like and the way that he's able to string together like different people, and especially his angle with using people's backgrounds and stuff like that. Like that guy is a master. He doesn't get his
Yeah.
due because he's just not big in the U.S. for some reason. Like Russell Peters is probably globally one of the biggest comics
Yeah.
globally for sure, and he's still huge, but it's in the U.S. But it's not to the same level. It's strange.
Yeah, his popularity's dipped down a little bit in the past few years. I think mainly because like how the culture is nowadays. Because like some jokes just like, "You can't say that. That's
Oh yeah, man.
offensive." Yeah. And because like his jokes are very offensive sometimes. So
Yeah.
that could be.
But if you ever go back and you watch his to my list, because he's another one that he was so unique, and I can listen to jokes that he's told. I can listen numerous times and still laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like his comedy now, especially like the one that went crazy good. I feel like I consider that like in my top three of greatest stand-up specials ever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, dude, there's something about it, and it's beyond the fact that it's just super funny. There's something he just nailed it, and yeah, it's still you can watch it today, and you're like, this is hilarious. So
Yeah, it's insane. Oh, yeah, and so like with comedy, um, actually speaking of the Russell Peters part, so um, how do you think comedy's evolved? Like, because now with a lot of people, it's like some jokes you can't make fun of, some things you can make fun of, and some jokes are just like off limits. Like I'll give you an example. Yesterday I made a TikTok with my mom. All right,
right, right.
and basically it was just some duet of this guy who was saying, uh, like I don't know how some people can call their parents by their first name. In my house, that like just doesn't fly. And I duet that with obviously scripted. Like my mom's like, hey, do the dishes. I call her by her first name. Okay, Shika. And then she throws like she threw a little cardboard box at me, and
Right.
I pretend it knocks me out, and yeah, funny joke, situational comedy, all that. But when I tell you that people genuinely like reported that video for like abuse, and then people are like, you shouldn't make fun of that. It's not funny. I'm like, yo, a year ago that should have been like the funniest thing on earth, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think everyone can see that there's over time, everything's become so much more sensitive that comedy has evolved to accommodate that in some aspects. Because I mean, some of it's good because there is some stuff that if you watch back on old comedy specials, you're like, geez, you could say that,
Yes.
then you're like, maybe you shouldn't. So some of that, but you're right, there is the aspect of like, some of it is just way too much sensitivity,
Yeah,
and
just people getting offended for the sake of being offended, right?
yeah, exactly. And that started years ago, and we've seen it. I'm thinking maybe after this pandemic, it'll put stuff in perspective, and people won't be so quick to freak out about stuff. But so I think that's definitely one way you've seen comedy evolve. And then another one is I think comedy's getting better because the audiences are smarter, and because it's so much more mainstream now, especially with podcasting, all this type of stuff, that you can't do the same old tricks and get away with it. Like I think comedy audiences now are very like intelligent with comedy themselves. It's usually people who are fans. Now they have a bunch of different comedians they can listen to, and so that's where I think the bar is higher than ever, because you have to meet that bar, or people are going to be like, we've seen this before. Whereas I think back in the day, just with less content being available, right? You go back to like the 80s or whatever, there was less content. The only stuff you'd see on TV. I think you could probably get away with easier tricks for certain stuff that you can't now. So it's always evolving to become better and better, I think, because yeah, the audiences are so much smarter now with it.
Yeah, I feel like in the past let's say as- honestly I'll say in the past 20 years there's one comedian that's actually like changed comedy for the better. I think that's Bo Burnham.
Oh, really? Okay.
Have you heard his stuff before?
Yeah, I've watched his special. I watched I think there's one called What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what and his whole thing is music comedy, but he does it in a way that is so like my favorite rapper of all time is Lil Dicky, and he's a whole comedy rapper and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the way Bo Burnham performs everything on stage is insanely like impressive. Like he had a new Netflix special come out like a year or two ago, and I'm watching that and I'm like, there's no one on earth who can like do this type of performance like to this like level of like perfection, because like it's so well timed. Like the music is genuinely like hilarious, is good too, and like he tells a story the whole time. And I feel like comedy wise, that's like an evolution that like I think will catch on within like the next maybe then with like the new generation, like TikTok has like given birth to a lot of new comedians now. So I
Yeah, you know
think
what? And this
yeah,
is a good point that you bring up, because that's another one. That's another way that I think comedy is evolving, is that people have shorter attention spans, and they will continue to get shorter as, apps, that type of stuff. It just shortens our attention span for what we're willing to watch. And so I think the days of having a 90-minute comedy special are gone, because even the top comics, they say on Netflix, nobody watches a full 90. I think we're going to see specials become shorter and shorter, and even content becoming shorter and shorter.
yeah,
For visually anyway, because yeah, you're right. It's people's attention spans are so much shorter now, and comedy is starting to accommodate that, right? You can see Netflix, they're doing like shorter specials, 20-minute type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like how I see it's like it's kind of like goes in like this one rule in filmmaking that I kind of follow. Less gives you more. So like when I make movies with like the less budget I have and the less resources I have available to me, it forces you to be more creative to get your point across.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I probably can't make a movie like Endgame, but I can do workarounds for a much cheaper way to make it much different. That's why like the Joker movie was like such an iconic piece, and it was like much shorter. The budget was like nothing compared to like the new Avatar movie, which is like $1 billion budget.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I feel like with comedy, how that's gonna work now is like yeah, like 90 minutes probably gonna be like maybe like the old heads are still gonna be doing that once in a while. Like the established guys, like if Chappelle wants a 90 minutes, most people watch the whole 90 minutes because he's Chappelle. But if like someone like Russell Peters, for instance, wants to do 90 minutes, it might not get that much retention rate, you know?
No, I agree. I think the guys that are grandfathered in can do the longer specials, but yeah, we'll see them. It's going to be shorter and shorter.
Yeah. Like that's why I like to get people starting comedy, they start with the 5 minutes and then slowly work their way up more when they get more like recognition, that kind of stuff.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember when I started, I was like, how am I going to do 5 minutes? You want me to talk for 5 minutes of stuff? And then you do five, and then someone comes along at some point, they go, can you do 10? You're like, 10? I can't go on stage for 10 minutes. It's just one of those progressions where, yeah, it's like, I remember the first time I ever quote unquote headlined a show, and actually had the poster in my office. I distinctly remember showing up, and it was a festival just here in town, just a local, like a fringe festival type thing. And I remember the girl, because they just saw me do a 5 minute set, and they're like, oh yeah, you can headline. And I remember I got there and she was like, yeah, just don't do anything. Keep it to 40. Don't do anything more than that. And I remember I was like, oh, okay, great. And in my head, I'm like, oh, dude, she has no idea. I'm like, I have 15 minutes of material. So I was like, dude, I was like, keep it to 40. I'm like, I can't even get to 40. So, and then, yeah, it's one of those weird things where then you do that and then it can start to fly by where 40 minutes goes by fast. So, yeah, it's just a weird one, man. And we're all going to be, when we start performing again, we're all going to have to sort of almost start at square one and then have the muscle memory guide us back. But that'll be kind of a fun thing, too. It'll be almost relearning comedy for a bit.
Yeah. Well, oh, I need to talk about this. 40 minutes. So you had, how much material did you have at the time at the festival? Like, did you come prepared with 15, 20 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, 15. I remember I had 15 minutes, so I was like, hey, open with a joke and then do crowd work. And I wasn't even experienced enough to do like good crowd work. And I was just like, I remember it did not go well. Let's just say that. Because it's impossible for it to do it. I could riff an extra 30 or whatever, 25 minutes, right? So.
Yeah. So you don't have that as like your top 10 show of all time or anything?
Definitely not. Definitely not. That wasn't my worst bomb, but I remembered it was a good lesson with ask how long a show wants you to do before you just show up.
Honestly, yeah. I didn't know, like when I did my first show at Broken City, I didn't know about the whole 5 minute thing until afterwards. Till like I got there and he's like, you're the newcomer today, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, come here. So you're gonna be here, you're gonna be on stage. Don't be this close to the mic, be this close to the mic. And all the normal stuff. He's like, so remember, you're on for 5 minutes. When you see me blinking the light, that means you stop. I'm like, wait, 5 minutes? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh shit. So like, I'm going on my phone. I'm deleting like half my jokes.
Oh, you had too much. Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't performed comedy, but I've been doing this podcast since like the summer of 2019, and I am considered like the comedian in like all my circles.
Right. Yep.
And the entertainer, all that kind of stuff. So I've had jokes basically built up for like since like 2015. Like I have a vault of jokes.
Yeah, you got a backlog. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And I spent like a good like week just like like getting all these jokes like flow into the next one. All right, so here I'm gonna segue like this, segue like this. And it's like you have 5 minutes. Like, oh fuck. All right, what are my good jokes? All right, cool. I'm first gonna talk about like I was wearing some shirt like the Supreme logo and stuff.
Yeah.
I had that, but it just said pretentious, like make fun of people that wore it, and I'm like,
Right, right.
so so I make a little joke about that, and then I talk about how I broke my nose, kind of funny way. Then I segue into like my main like ending joke. But oh my god, when like my friends that were with me can attest for this, they saw how much I was sweating. Just like, how am I gonna segue from this or this joke without this
Yeah.
joke in the middle?
Yeah.
But it turned out pretty good, and yeah, like they ended up actually liking it. I'm like, okay, this is my go-to set now.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. There's so much stuff that yeah happens on the fly with
Yeah.
it that you're like, oh, I'm surprised that worked out. But
So what was your first show like?
it was at Yuck Yucks Calgary amateur night, and I remember going up, and I remember it just being pretty good. Like sometimes people's first show can be. It feels like there's only two experiences people have. Either their first show is a complete bomb, or it's amazing. And mine was like I would say definitely it wasn't a bomb. I didn't blow it out of the water, but I was more just like getting through it, and I was couldn't believe I did it. Like after I got off stage, and I remember I got some laughs of it. I just couldn't believe. I was like, I actually did that. Like it's something I've been thinking about forever. And so that was the bigger. I left feeling amazing
Yeah.
afterward. And I don't even remember, to be honest, the level of laughter or whatever, because I was just more overwhelmed with the sense of actually doing that, especially with how nervous I'd been all day and all that type of stuff. So
Yeah. Like but it went good. You got a lot of laughs and stuff, which is like the best feeling. You're like, okay, so I'm not shit, which is good to know.
yeah, and I remember distinctly thinking, I can't believe how bright the light is on the stage. Like I remember that being a big surprise when I went up, was looking out and just having this light shining right in my eyes and
Yeah.
being like, whoa, I didn't realize you can't see the audience. I
Huh.
remember that too. I was like, whoa, this is a bit strange. But yeah, the first time was good, man. It was a positive experience because I was so pumped afterwards and there was so much relief of being nervous, all that type of stuff. So
Was that like your first time like performing from a crowd like ever? Like, have you done drama? Or, like, were you a theater kid or anything kind of like that? Or was like that was your first time on stage, something like that?
oh, dude, I did check my IMDb, dude. I did a play in grade 4. That's it. Like it doesn't even count, dude. No, so no. And I remember I remember doing drama and we had to do miming. And as soon as we had to do miming, I was like, I'm out. I'm not. I thought it was stupid. I'm like, I'm not pulling. Why am I pulling a fake rope? Who cares? So no, I really, yeah, I didn't do any type of theater or anything like that. And
Oh damn! So we were opposites, straight up.
did you do a lot of theater?
Um, like when I was 7, I was on a TV show for like 5 years. There's some Indian TV show for like a good 5 years or something.
Whoa.
Yeah. And thing is, like that show, like they posted some clips to YouTube, but because like I was like really young, they didn't want like people to, like stalk me and shit, so they didn't even put that shit on YouTube. So
Whoa.
whenever I tell people, yo, I was on a TV show and it was like pretty good, like show me. I go on YouTube, I'm like I can't find it, and, and so they think I'm bullshitting, and it hurts a lot.
That's
Um,
crazy. I didn't know that either. Wow.
yeah, and then at school, I did a couple school plays. I played Scrooge during the Christmas Carol, even though I went to an all-white school, so it was like pretty weird seeing a brown guy uh doing all this stuff. And so like, I'm used to the stage, so I was pretty comfortable my first time up. I didn't like I obviously like rambled a little bit, I stuttered a lot, like, but I got the jokes across good enough where people laughed, and one of the comedians literally told me, honestly, You were only kind of shit, but you made everyone laugh, so it's okay.
Okay, well that's a very helpful feedback. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it was pretty cool. And then like right afterwards, then the guy it kind of made me feel better that like right after my show, like it was a seasoned comedian. I don't know. He had a complete brain fart, forgot his set, and just walked off stage.
Wow.
It
And you
was
know,
so funny.
yeah, that
Like
can happen. I mean, you don't know until you get in there. Now, you were probably a little more comfortable because you've been on stage and everything like that,
yeah,
which is good. Because otherwise, I mean, if you don't have any stage experience, you're battling not just trying to deliver jokes through a microphone, which is unnatural. You're
yeah,
also dealing with like the stage fright, being afraid
anxiety, all that kind of
someone's
stuff.
yeah, so I've seen it happen before where yeah, people get up there and all their brain is just like, we can't do this, shut off, right? And it's just the nerves, it's overwhelming. So
Yeah, I feel but I feel like still like comedy's a thing that like a lot of people should try and like at least do once, because like you get a feel of euphoria like when you get your first laugh, you're like, I'm in the zone, let's go.
oh yeah, it's a crazy feeling, and especially after the set too, like the release of nerves, tension, all that type of stuff, feeling good because you did good. It's a crazy feeling, and I agree. Whenever someone says to me they're thinking about doing it, I'm like, if you're thinking about it, then you should definitely do it.
Yeah.
All right, so
One thing I want to ask you, like so I'm still relatively new of a comedian, and you're pretty seasoned at this point. What makes a good joke?
oh, interesting. I can only say so. You know, stylistically, creatively, everyone's different.
Yeah.
But I can say, from my perspective, I've found my best jokes are the ones that are tied to some type of emotion or feeling. It's
Hmm.
the emotion or feeling that drives the joke because it's the thing that makes me think about the subject. It's the thing that makes me want to convey a point and convey the emotion across. So, like, if I see something that I find is stupid or I think it's frustrating that people do it or something like that, that's what gets the creative juices going because I'm like, how do I express, how silly this thing is? It feels silly. How do I express that? So that's what I've always found. And then I think when you feel it and when I'm saying a joke and I'm feeling it as I'm saying it, the audience picks up on that because you're leaning into it. It has some flavor to it. So those are the ones that I find for myself always work way better than the ones that are like that. The opposite would be if I just saw something in the news that's funny and I just do a comment on that. It could
Yeah.
be a good joke and it might work, but it's not going to have the same punch as like if I didn't feel anything about it. It's just doesn't. It's not being an expression at that point. It's just a joke on its own type thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like one thing I've seen a lot is like either like talk about something personal, because that way it's like more realistic when you talk about it. Because if you're just making up a story, like some parts can might be a little bit far fetched and all that type of shit. But like if it's a personal story, you can like go in depth on it, and also self-deprecating humor I feel like is the best type, because I don't like making fun of people in general. So I'm like, if I make myself the joke, I'm okay with that. But then if I start like making fun of some random people, I'm like, no, I kind of feel like a douchebag, you know?
right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, if it's a personal thing, then it just makes it more unique, right? It makes it more true to you. So you're right. I think, but again, that's the fun part with stand up is like there is no rules. It's hard to even
Yeah,
say, you know what it is? Here's what's a good joke. Whatever makes people laugh. That's the measure of the joke right
yeah,
there. The audience reaction is the instant measure of the joke. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's the nice part with it with comedies. You get instant feedback immediately, and you know if it's good or not. So that's the true measure. And then, yeah, there's all those kind of tips and tricks that I think help get us to that spot. But it's funny, man. Sometimes there's a joke that on paper is not even funny and it shouldn't work, and then it does. And then there's other jokes that we end up thinking are hilarious in our head, and we write and we work on them forever, and then we present them to the audience and it gets nothing, and you're like, all right, man, I thought that was gonna be it. So you don't know.
Yeah. I remember at the show I did at Yuck Yucks. It was so funny. I had this joke in my head that I was thinking of doing on stage for a while, and I said on stage. It was kind of like yeah. So the joke was kind of like so me and my girlfriend are thinking of adopting, and not like what you guys think. I'm not gonna have a kid. No, no, no. I'm just gonna sponsor one of those kids. Like you see like in the Sir McLaughlin ad, like sponsor a kid a day with a coffee or something. And I just tell people I have a kid overseas, and just use that as a big excuse to
Right.
get out of stuff. Like, oh, sorry, man, I can't do this. My kid overseas, I gotta go talk to him. Or, oh, sorry, bro, you need help moving? Oh, sorry, man. You know my kid um in Africa? Yeah, he just kidnapped another American journalist. Whoop-de-doo.
Oopsies.
Yeah, nobody laughed. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, this is the funniest joke ever. No one laughed. I'm like, so I just segued out of it. Okay, none of you guys laughed about that. So let's talk about the Bible, and then go right to the next joke.
Yeah, that's the smart thing is one you have to acknowledge if it doesn't do well, because otherwise the audience is like, this guy's delusional. So that can save you. If you do a joke and yeah, it bombs, it's the best thing to do is like, well, that didn't work, and then people laugh at you relieving the tension and acknowledging that you recognize it didn't work. And you're right, dude. I've had so many where I'm in my head and I plan it out and I'm like, oh yes, this is the funniest. This is my best bit I've ever done. And then I take it to stage and it's like, not people like no. And you're just like, all right, I can't. That's the nice part though. Is like I can't argue. You guys are right. I need to either change this or whatever.
Yeah, like that was like one of the only things the judges liked about my performance. Like, I'll be like that you acknowledge that that joke sucked ass, and so just you just moved on, which is good, very good. I'm like, oh,
That's
thanks.
the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it.
And I'll end this interview with one last question. What what is your all-time favorite performance, or what is your all-time worst performance? Whichever one you wanna share.
So can I plug my podcast real quick?
Go crazy.
I'm on here. It's called Nessin Around. I do an episode every single day, 20 minutes every single day. Listen while you're having your coffee. And yeah, check it out if you like podcasts, which I'm thinking you do if you're listening.
Oh, I gotta ask that real quick. How do you imagine an episode every day? Because like I like with my episodes like that's not interview based. I take like maybe 2 weeks working on an episode. Like I spend like 2 days writing the episode, then I spend like 3 days recording, then I spend the next week and a half just editing. How do you do an episode a day? Because I checked like right before you came on the call. 40 episodes or something right now.
Yeah, it was one of those things where part of it is because of lockdown. I have time every single day. So I'd rather have an outlet. And my life is not so crazy right now where I don't have a day that I can't record. So part of it is just the opportunity, the time opportunity that we're being given right now with everything being shut down. And then the other part was it's kind of like working a muscle that when you get in the rhythm of doing it every day, you just get more and more efficient with it and it becomes more manageable. And then I also keep them short though too. So I keep them 20 minutes because I don't even want to hear me for more than 20 minutes a day, right? Like nobody's going to tune in for anything longer than that. So I just keep it real short, 20 minutes. We talk about everything, random stuff. My dog was on the episode today.
I heard that one.
Stuff on it. So it's, yeah, that's really how I do it. I just keep it short, sweet, and I mean, what else do I have to do? I got nothing else to do. So
Yeah, I make sure I listen to yours. I listen to your podcast and my other buddy's podcast on my drives because like you guys have like short form podcasts.
right.
I obviously do not because this interview is almost like over an hour long already.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just usually when you get in a group with an interview, it just goes for a while.
Yes.
Like after I stop recording, I'll tell you about a guest that I had yesterday. That interview went crazy, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you want me to tell you the story here? So I think it's more fun to hear the worst story or the worst show I've ever done. I'm trying to think of. There's a few. I would say the worst for just overall like everything was I did one up in Rocky Mountain House years ago. Corporate gig at the Legion. I showed up and there's like no stage. There's not even a microphone, and there's people are dancing, people are playing pool. There's a band, and I'm like, oh, do I go on after the band? And they're like, no, no, that'll be too late. And I'm like, well, when do I go on? They're like, oh, you could just start right now. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh yeah, over there in the corner, that's the comedy, that's where you're performing. So they had me set up like a station. Like it was just like, you go over here, you play pool. You go over here, you listen to music. Over there in the corner, that guy's doing comedy. And that's what it was. 20 chairs set up, and I just had to go stand there. I don't even remember if they got me a microphone, but I remember just watching the clock. And that was one of those where I think I had to do 45 minutes. And as soon as it hit 45, I was like, I'm out of here. And I just grabbed my jacket, and you walk straight out, and I go, ugh,
Oh.
brutal.
So it's like everything else is going on, and then you are just in the corner, just like this. Wait, let me start my blur real quick. I'm making jokes, guys. Come here. Come talk to me.
That's exactly it. Like honestly, and people would move, like they would come sit down for a bit, and they would leave the different people. So I had this like ever-changing audience, brutal. So that's it, man.
God, how awkward was it though? Like scale 1 to 10, how awkward was that? How many people did you have in your crowd?
Oh, well, it was changing all the time. So we had between 6 to 12 people, depending on who decided to come sit down and watch and not. So thanks anyway. Thanks for making me remember that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome for the PTSD. That's what the BrarCast is all about. Make people just regret coming on because they get bad memories and they can't sleep for the next 2 weeks. It's a great time. All right. So now I'm gonna do my sign off. So how I do my sign off is like with a guest is like I say stay hydrated, and then you say wear a condom, and that's basically it.
Okay.
I think it's an amazing tagline. Stay hydrated, wear a condom. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
And that's it today's fuck, I can't speak English. And that's it for today's interview with Mr. Todd Ness. BrarHive, thank you so much for watching. Once again, you can catch this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, everywhere else, YouTube. Todd, where can you find your podcasts?
Same thing, everywhere, man. Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff.
And as always, BrarHive, stay hydrated.
Wear a condom. Wear two.
And we'll catch you next time. Peace.